Well, today we're pretty much just going to do some painting. If you've remember seeing the last show, we finally finished up all the body work. That's pretty much done. So now what we're going to do today is just going to paint the bumper and the spoiler and the hood. And we're not going to do the whole car because originally the car came with a two-part paint, one part base, the color, and then the second part clear coat. And Dad really didn't want to spend all that much money on it, so he just bought a one-part paint, urethane, and so that's supposed to be everything all together, and it'll shine and everything. But that's why we're just going to paint the bumper and spoiler and hood first, so if it doesn't match, then we'll know if we have to paint the whole car or not. And that's pretty much it. That's all we're going to do today. And what I've done to everything that we're going to paint so far, we put another coat of primer. It's our second one. And then I Scotch-Brite it, which is really fine and abrasive. So that smooths it down, scuffed it up, and that'll let the paint stick to it a little bit better. So we've done that to everything. Now what we're going to do is just go ahead and paint them up. Alright, well, before we actually start painting, we got to clean up everything. We got to do some house cleaning. We got to sweep up the shop, clean it all up, dust off everything, make sure there's no dirt or dusty air around anything we're going to paint. We got to get all the dust out of the floor and everything, because you don't want any random dust particles coming in when you're painting, and that'll blow it on your part of your whatever part you're painting, and that'll make it pretty nasty looking. So I don't know, going back to when I said Dad wanted to save money by buying this one part paint, like if it doesn't match, we gotta have more paint to paint the whole car, and that's just more work too. And I don't know what he plans on saving, but I don't know. Maybe you know. I don't know. All right, well, we're mixing the paint to get ready to paint, and as we were reading the directions, because you have to mix it with other things, the ratio was 8 to 1 to 2. Now you can go out and buy these special measuring sticks that'll give you the amount. We got a couple here. They'll tell you your parts. This ratio is 4 to 1. So but we didn't have an 8 to 1 to 2 stick. So what we had to do was we just marked every 1/4 inch increments on a regular stirring stick, and you knew once you hit 8 of them, you go to, that's your 8 parts of paint. Then you have to have another notch up, which is your catalyst. So you do 1 part catalyst, and then another 2 marks up, and that'd be your reducer. And so now we're mixing, and Dad, he just went on. He's ready to go. He's ready to go paint. And he opened this up and he tried to pour it in here and just spilt half of it. I mean, yeah, that's funny, but that's couple $100 in paint right there, and I'm paying for it. You know, I don't want him spilling my paint. So he tried to clean it up, but you know, he didn't pay for it. You know, I did, and so I don't know. But oh well, it was funny. But he can't do it again, or I'm gonna get mad. I'm gonna just come to leave, though I don't want him to leave, because he is helping me, and he does know more than I do about this. Alright, well, let's see, we painted, and Dad didn't want me to paint. He thought I would screw up or something, which I'm not the best painter, but, you know, with him saying that, I figured he would be a lot better than me. And coming to paint, he painted, and it all looked pretty good until about right here, where there's a bunch of runs. And as you can see, I don't want to be driving down the road with that on the bumper. And then we can fix that and everything, but this is where Dad tried to fix one himself, and that didn't work out at all. Right here we had a run, and you can tell it's running again, but he said, hey, I can fix this. So he takes masking tape and just puts it on there and thinks it's done. He thinks he actually fixed it by putting masking tape on there and pulling off the run, when it actually kind of looks like somebody took their jacket and tried to soak up the paint or something. It looked like a sponge or something, I don't know. So now we've just got a little bit more work ahead of us. You know, he didn't screw anything up, he just caused more work. And that's one of his sayings I've come to learn on this project. But probably the only thing that really turned out well is the spoiler. There is one small run on the back side, but it pretty much looks the best out of everything we painted today. So I'm pretty happy though, besides the runs and the fact he said I'm going to paint and screws everything up, you know, but oh well, we'll fix it. Yeah, so it's St. Patrick's Day and Dad hasn't showed up, so he's probably at the darn parade while I'm down here trying to finish up this car. All we got left to do is got to sand out some runs that we had the last time, and I've already done that. And now we're just gonna go ahead and I'm gonna shoot another coat on everything, and we'll probably wait till tomorrow to finish painting the rest of the car. We're gonna paint the side. Today we're just gonna try to finish up the bumper and the hood, and the spoiler's already done, so pretty much almost close to finished.
We painted the Cobalt here this past Sunday, and it actually turned out pretty good. Some of the body work's a little flawed, and I knew it was. I actually knew it was, but Kenny didn't really want to keep sanding on it, because I kept telling you, whenever if you can feel a little mark on that body, then it's going to be amplified by the paint, you know, 4 or 5 times. So anyway, I'll show you some pictures of it here. We had to paint that rear bumper because it had some scratches on it right here. So we got that done, and that's the door. We got a good shine. The hood, no runs this time. I mastered the paint. So now we just gotta put it together. Now there was one thing I was kind of disappointed on was there's a couple little dimples right here that I didn't see, and this is eye level, so I was trying to pay attention to those, but I don't know if we can see them with the camera. If I go up and down right here, you might be able to see them right about where I was telling you, right here. But that looks okay. That'll be okay. So now we'll do some I'm thinking about doing some graphics to it and start bolting it back together. Now I thought Kenny'd be real excited to come back over here maybe Monday, yesterday, and start bolting parts back on it, but he wasn't. He says, hey, I can do it my next weekend with you. So I think he really enjoys just driving my Honda, and it's easier, no work. But anyway, that's it.
So far, what we've done is, as you can tell, we put on the bumper, and it was a pain kind of putting it on, but after we did it, we realized it's not that bad as long as you know what you're doing. Since this is a whole new car to us, it was a lot of on and offs, but how it works is it's like a jigsaw puzzle. You gotta take some parts and they connect to others, and those connect to another parts, and those have to be bolted on. So you just gotta figure out how everything hooks together first, and then it's a simple put together. We got the new headlights in. We checked them, they work, everything works on them, the signals and everything. The bumper all went together pretty good. We put in the inside fender well, but the left side, which was the more cracked, it's kind of weird on this car how the front left side was the worst in the front for the bumper, but the side on the right was the worst for the body work and everything. But the left fender is cracked, so we'll have to probably get a new one of those. We also didn't get a grill piece for this car. Well, we'll look into those eventually. And we've also got to get an air conditioning condenser for it too. But otherwise, that's pretty much everything here. The next thing, and probably going to be the last thing that we have to do to work on, is going to be the spoiler. Now, Dad's already marked where we're supposed to drill. I'm not sure which one. I suppose it's these two little dots on each side I'm supposed to drill. He kind of just put a bunch of marks and then he left. I guess he was pretty mad about taking on and off the bumper and everything, and just too much work for him. I don't know. But we'll go ahead and we'll drill these, put on the spoiler, and we'll be good to go.
Well, I was over in the Grandin area the other day and to measure a job for Virginia building specialist, and my car quit on me, just quit dead, almost like you turned off the key. So there's my car. It's a Toyota. Matter of fact, I only paid $60 for this car 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, and put a new motor in it. The motor was $150. I dropped the motor in it. But I'm thinking it's the timing chain, the timing belt. Belt's what they call it. And it's located right under this case right here. So I'm going to show you how to check if that's the case. So what I'm going to do is take off that distributor cap and see if the cam's turning when I crank over the motor. If it is turning, then it's probably electronic problem, and I'll probably take it somewhere. But if it isn't turning, then we know it's the timing belt, and that's what we'll do. We'll change that timing belt then, and you'll learn how to do it. Okay, I've got the distributor cap off, and what I'm going to try to do now, since I'm by myself, is try to crank it over and kind of stick my head out the window and see if it's turning. You know, a lot of you guys might wonder, well, gosh, you broke down out in the Grandin area, Kenny, you know, and your car just quit. How'd you get home? How'd you get the car home? Well, I called quite a few people, but a lot of them were really busy, or said they was busy and didn't want to come pick me up. My brother was with me at the time, so he couldn't come and get me. So I finally called Dave. I called Dave a couple times, but he was cooking chicken and couldn't come. So I went to Spike's and had a few beers, and then by that time he came to pick me up. And so I went home and got my trusty old truck and tied a rope to it, and my brother drove the car and I pulled him with the truck. So I'm going to crank this over and we'll see what happens. Okay, as you can see, I'm cranking it over and it ain't turning. Yeah, it ain't turning, which is good news for me, because now all I gotta do is take that cover off and take off the wheel, jack up the car, take the inner wheel well out, and pull the harmonic balance, take the cover off, like I think I said already, and take the belt off and replace it. So we'll see how that goes. Well, while jacking up the Toyota here, Kenny's Cobalt's still in the shop. That's it. And the battery had run out on it. So I was charging the battery up with the charger, and kind of makes me mad, because I did a lot of work on this thing too. I pushed the battery charger into the bumper. Now look what it's done to it. All right, it's scratched his newly painted bumper. I'll try to put some touch-up paint on it, and maybe he won't notice, but I have a feeling he will. Okay, well, I've got the car jacked up, and I've got that that inner fender well, like I was telling you about, right here, so I can get to that crank. That's the pulley to the left. So now what I've got to do is loosen this up so I can get all these belts off, and the alternator belt. That's the power steering belt. Actually that's the air conditioning belt. And that over there is the alternator belt. We'll loosen that up. Then we can start taking that cover off, and hopefully we won't have to jack up the motor or take off any motor mounts. I'd read on this one site that this guy didn't have to, so we'll find out what happens. Still kind of teed off that I messed up Kenny's car, but it's his fault, come to think of it. It's his fault because he hasn't been down here to work on it. He's playing soccer and ball and all these other things, going to proms and stuff like that. So, you know, things I didn't get to do when I was a kid.
Stewart backseat. A junior back, number 14, Kenny Hicks. Junior back, number...
Oh, I just thought about it. By the way, that, you know, when the car broke down, I was over in the Grandin area and I went by Spike's for a few drinks. Almost 4 people come up to me and was, hey, Kenny, your show's not on anymore, right? So I told them, well, they moved us to 78. Oh, man, we knew you was on 9 and then 19. We didn't think to look to 78. So if you're watching this now and you want to watch all the other public access shows, remember they're on 78. Probably the same times they were before when it was on 19, but channel 78 on your dial. And just for fun, I went on 9 the other day to see what was going on there. And it doesn't seem like 9's doing anything anymore. So I think Cox made a bad decision, my opinion, on moving us all to 78, because I think a lot of more people tuned in when Cox's shows was on and our show's on. Who wants to watch the infomercials, right? But anyway, that's just my opinion. Okay, I've got the alternator loosened up. I've already got the air conditioning done. So I'm getting the alternator belt off. There it comes. And sheet is tight right there. I don't know what's hitting it. We'll get her off. There we go. And these was new belts when I put the motor in 2.5 years ago, 3 years ago. They should be okay. Now take that cover off. To pull the harmonic balance off, you got to use a wheel puller. So I happen to have one. And I'll put it on and show you how it's done. Okay. That's the harmonic bounce. We're right here. Here's my puller, and I've just got to get some, I had to find some screws that'll fit in here, which I had, or bolts rather, and we tighten this thing on. Now this middle bolt where my left hand's on, when we start tightening that down, that's going to pull the whole thing out. Hopefully we'll have enough room here, which it don't seem like we're going to have, so I'll have to tighten these down and see what we can do. Some bolts that would fit, and we got it on there, so all I got to do is kind of like tighten it down. Might be able to do it with this thing. Let's see. Seemed like it was pulling off with just tightening these two. Let's turn around here so you can see it. So, actually you're supposed to tighten the middle of the screw, but this seems to be working fine. I think it's about off. You can feel it wiggling. So, we'll keep tightening it. Okay, I've been on this thing maybe 45 minutes to an hour, and the hardest part for me was to find some bolts for my puller. But anyway, we've got this top cover off now, and you can see the belt in here. See, it's loose. I can probably pull it on out. See where it's broken right there. So luckily, it won't be too much harder to fix. I might be on the road tonight. Probably a $300 job. Maybe not that much somewhere. But tonight it's going to be a couple hours, a few beers, and a $22 belt. Okay, I've got the belt off. I'm trying to time everything right now, so I'm going to show you. I've got the crankcase timed. I don't know if we can see it or not. We'll try. And I lost my focus, but see that little dimple there? It lines up with that other one. This picture will show it a little better. Right there. See it? It lines up with that other one, that little dot right there. Now, the cam pulley here, it's got a 2E and a 3E on it. And I don't know where it goes right yet, so I've got to read up and find out about it. Okay, I've got the timing belt on. You can see it. It was kind of hard to do by myself because I was pushing the tensioner in and trying to feed the belt on at the same time. But anyway, you can see it on down here. We're still on our timing mark, if you can see that. And also up here, our timing mark was this hole. It's supposed to be on the top of that deck. So I'm going to tighten down the tensioner now, which is right here. The tensioner. I've cranked it over by hand twice, so to make sure it was all working right. So I'll tighten it down and try to start it to make sure it's timed right. So if it is, then I'll start putting everything back together. Okay, right now all my covers and stuff are still off, but I've tightened up the idler pulley, and so everything ought to run. So if it's timed right, it should sound real good right here. Uh-oh. Something isn't right. Something doesn't sound right. Okay. Now I know what's wrong. Remember on the very first step we did, we took off the distributor cap to see if the cam was turning. I forgot to put it back on. So I'll put that back on. Okay, I put the distributor cap back on, and I've lost my keys. We'll try it. Oh, here they are. And we'll try it again. Kind of getting in a hurry because my battery's running down. Let's see what happens. Oh man, something still ain't right. Something ain't right. I don't know. We'll find out. Well, this is the next day. I had a hard time getting the belt on because you had to take the spring tensioner. Well, the guy told me to take the spring off. Well, once I got the belt on, I couldn't get the spring back on. So what I eventually did was put the spring on and then take a rod and push the spring tensioner back as far as I could, and then I could slip the belt on. Again, there's the spring tensioner, and that's an idler there. So I got it back on. So after I did that a couple times, it wouldn't run. I got it running really good one time. I don't know if you guys can see it, but these are timing holes, and there's two different timing holes for two different motors. So the first one I tried this one, and that was wrong. Then I had to try that one, and also the timing marks down here was wrong. I thought you're supposed to line this up with the nipple, so I ended up having to put the harmonic balance back on and the cover back on to find the top dead center. Now a Toyota, you can do this trial and error and not have a problem damaging your valves, but some motors, you better get it right or you'll bend the valve with your piston. You know, they'll be off timing and your piston will hit and bend the valve. But these have got clearance where that doesn't happen. So we're getting ready to try to start it now. Okay, let's this is the the fifth try, sixth try. Let's see. Well, we got it right this time. Sounds perfect. So all I gotta do now is tighten down all my my spring tensioner. I'll loosen it and tighten it down again to make sure it's seated right, and then start putting all my covers back on, and I'm all ready to hit the road. Belts and all that. I got this cover on. Now, you know, I've watched a lot of these shows on TV where they're putting the things together. The two Yankee guys and that other guy that's always building four-wheel drives and stuff like that. But, you know, what's kind of funny is they never look like me, you know? So it's kind of unrealistic. How do they stay so clean? So I guess either they're not working on it themselves, somebody else is, or everything's brand new, which in the real world we can't do, can we? So anyway, that's my thought on that. Well, I had it up on the lift here on a, not really so much the lift, but since I had it jacked up, I decided to go ahead and change the oil, and I hadn't changed the oil probably a year, which is a bad thing. The best thing you can ever do to any one of your vehicles is probably get your oil changed at least every 3,000 miles. That's that will keep you from having a lot of headaches in the future. Well, anyway, it's running good. We've changed the oil. All I gotta do is put the tires back on and start driving. That's the show.
What's the matter, little fella? You okay? I don't know what's wrong with you. It looks like you're sad.
I think you gotta poop.
You might have to poop. It makes me sad.
Look at the intake.
I like that coupe, but oh wow, Kenny, look. There's one of them Hummers, Humvees, like they use in the military. I like these things. Yeah. These guys have gotten a ticket for parking too long or something.
Are you sure it's a Humvee?
Yeah, that's a Humvee.
It looks kind of small, Dave.
I don't know. Maybe that's like a smaller version of it.
Huh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, she's talking on the phone, right? Always on the phone.
Women on the phone. Baby, hold on tight, baby. Scoot it up.